Welcome to Start Lines and Swag Bags. The airing of this podcast is for entertainment purposes only and is not intended to replace advice from professional medical or training staff. Thank you for listening and your support of the Flying Pig Project.
So, welcome to another recording of Start Lines and Swag Bags. My guest tonight is Mark. Hello, Mark. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me here tonight, Rachel.
Introduce yourself.
Well, I'm Mark. I've been a runner, as somebody pointed it out, 16 years now.
Wow.
It kind of struck me when they pointed that out. They're like, since 2008. It was supposed to be a 1-year thing. Clearly, that has not happened.
Oh.
So,
wait, hold on. How do you declare, I'm going to run, but only for a year?
okay, this is what happened.
Okay.
I was about 20 to 30 pounds heavier. So my goal that year in 2008 was simple. I wanted to lose some weight. Figured I needed something. I wanted to get into running to help motivate me and so forth, with the goal, I'm going to run 1 half marathon.
Okay.
Very simple goal.
Valid. Good.
Trained all year for a race in December, half marathon in December, down in Arizona. I learned a very valuable lesson. Even if you're going to Arizona in December, check the weather forecast. Yes. They got hit with a massive snowstorm. The northern part of the state.
Oh, so yeah.
Phoenix area was like 30 degrees. I did not pack for 30-degree weather.
Oh, God.
Got a really bad sinus infection.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, I want to say I finished 11th from the bottom.
Wow.
At the half marathon.
First of all, you finished.
Yes. And I couldn't just rest on it. I'm too headstrong, too competitive with myself to just stop at that point. Kind of got addicted from there to 16 years later now. Now I'm running probably about 10 or 11 races a year, various distances. It's been a lot of fun, to put it mildly.
You get sucked in.
Yes.
Okay.
My wife was like, you should have probably done some sort of illegal drugs instead. It probably would have been cheaper.
I know. Everybody's like, running, it's an inexpensive sport. No, it's not.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Okay, so now comes the question I ask everybody. How do we know each other?
Okay. This is actually two-tiered effect. They both involve running and drinking. You have the dual honor of me knowing you from two different running groups. One was sort of loosely associated with Fast Track, the Friday night flights.
Extra mile running Friday night flights.
Yes, exactly. Most of which are fast trackers. I'm friends with them. Love them. Absolutely love them. The other half of that is the Skokie Swifters.
Yes.
I think we ran into each other again at the beer mile last year.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
I think you noticed me before I noticed you.
Yeah, because I know you because you're of course friends with
Chris.
Yeah, the guy, the owner of Extra Mile, the guy that I work for. Yeah, you're the only one who knows me from both clubs. So I think that's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, and there's no other way to put it. It's fun.
You never know where people are going to show up. I mean, it's, I think that's what it is. Well,
if it's running and beer, there's a good chance I'm going to be there. It's all about the camaraderie, getting a little bit of healthy exercise in before you recarb, if you will.
I was going to say, let's get the exercise in before we all drink.
Exactly.
So, Start Lines and Swag Bags. So it of course came out of me losing all my race history and trying to rebuild it and finding I recovered like 110 different races that I had done through maybe 10 there was like 10, 13 years worth of races. And I was like, oh, this is a really cool shirt, or this is like the worst piece of swag somebody can get. So the question is that I pose to everybody is, what is the best or worst? And you can do either, and you can even do both.
Okay, let's start with the worst.
Okay.
Let's go right for the jugular. I was at, and I brought it with me. I was doing a half marathon in Morgantown, West Virginia. It was actually a really fun race. It was downhill. It was shaded. It was like a it was considered trail, but it was one of those limestone type of trails where it's basically running on pavement or gravel.
Yeah.
So I really had a good time at that race. And when they said they put on it no frills, they really meant it. No. They did not give out race medals. Instead, you probably can't even see this. They gave out a little chip, like a tag for your shoe. You can't see it. This could be a quarter and you wouldn't know it.
So do the best for those listening, do the best to describe what can only be called like a game token.
Yeah.
Like
this is my thumb. This is the medal. It wasn't even considered a medal.
Does that say something?
It says 2013 Deckers Creek Trail Half Marathon. Again, they didn't even call it a medal. It was supposed to be a shoe tag. So I wanted it to be a medal, so I made it into a medal by putting a string around it.
Oh my God, they gave it to you like it's a little thing to put on your dog's collar or something.
Correct. Now, there's a kind of a fun story about this afterwards. I made a friend. She's from West Virginia. Lives in LA now. She's one of those, like, I love my home state, but also I can't stand it some days. Mm-hmm. She got angry about that. So even though she's like, you can't have a medal that's that pathetic, to put it mildly, it's not even a medal. Well, now keep in mind, I got to preface this. This got beat up over the years. She made this for me. Let's see, wrong way. Part of the panhandles of West Virginia have fallen off or broken off.
What is that made of?
She made it for me. I thought it was so cool.
So for those listening, how can we describe that?
Like, you had some extra art supplies at school. And like you had a bunch of leftover stuff and you put it together.
Yeah.
And it's not very secure. The fact that it's 12, 11 years.
Yeah.
That it's still quote unquote alive, but the majority of it is still working as nothing short of a miracle.
And pictures of both the pathetic medal and the handcrafted medal will be provided in the show notes and on the Insta post of this episode. So you'll be able to see what can only be described as a dog's nameplate given to a runner after a race.
Here, you paid $70 for this. Thank you.
No, that was not $70.
I don't know how much the race cost.
Did they at least give you like water and stuff?
I think they did. They probably was jumping the river. If you really needed to turn.
And a pump.
It was West Virginia.
A pump, and a Dixie cup. That's what they had.
That's it. But no, it was actually a very good race, except for the token of appreciation, if you will.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. Best swag.
Best swag. This one I'm really proud of. Even though the bar was exceptionally low that day. My wife and I She has family down in the Gulf Shores of Alabama.
Okay.
We went down there for a wedding one year. One of her cousins was getting married. And we had some extra time to kill before the race, before the wedding, pardon me. And she found out it's a great name for something in Alabama, a sausage festival
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yes.
in Alberta, Alabama.
Okay.
With it, she starts joking around. They have a 5K. With that, you gonna go run it? And I'm like, send me the link for it.
A 5K sausage run? Yes.
Yes.
I will absolutely run that. And there better be a dang medal with that one.
Oh, I had to earn this one. Even though, again, the bar was low. I want to say there were about 80 runners at this race. And I've always run in one of the most competitive fields. I'm very realistic. My ability versus a lot of other runners aged. I was still in the 40 to 44 age group.
Okay.
But it was, keep in mind, 80 people, and they had the age groups broken down every 4 years. That is a lot of finishers.
That's ridiculous.
That's basically everybody gets a medal.
That is,
and I'm proud to say I placed second. I was the second fastest weiner in Alberta, Alabama.
Yeah.
That was the name of the race, the Wiener Dash. And I was the second place finisher in men aged 40 to 44.
Wait, hold that up again, though. Is there? Hold the medal up. Is there at least a wiener on there? Oh, there is. I see him.
It's a wiener crossing the finish line. I think it has a fireman hat on.
Okay, that's priceless.
I'd be remiss if I didn't say there were only 3 finishers in my age bracket.
You race who shows up.
Exactly.
That I don't care. Doesn't matter. No.
I did look it up. I was smoked by the winner, and then I smoked the 3rd place finisher.
That's perfect. Perfectly acceptable. You race who shows up.
Exactly.
Nobody shows up. That's fine. Mm-hmm.
One year I do want to go back and dominate that wiener dash.
See, that's the kind of goals that the Flying Pig Project is all about. Going and crushing the Wiener 5K. That's a tagline. I'm gonna have to add that.
You're welcome. Put the little trademark.
Okay. So from there we do get we go a little not serious per se, but the next question is about advice, and of course that can be as funny as any other category. But again, we look for best or worst or both. And again, remembering that, anything we share with this topic is very individualized, and what works for one person may not work for another.
I was thinking about this the other day when we were discussing this. It was actually something that our friend Sabrina had posted online, because I going back to the wiener story,
yeah.
Somebody in my demographic that's not blazing fast, it's really hard to either place, or there are just some days.
Yes.
I'm a very great okay runner.
Yes.
There are those runs and races where you feel like a Kenyan, and then the next day you run, you feel like you have 20-pound lead weights on your legs. But she posted something probably about 6 or 7 months ago that really sunk in, was whatever you race, it was something along the lines of whatever you race on that day is your personal best.
Yes.
Because it could be anything could happen on that day. You could do everything right and just have a terrible race. You could do everything wrong and somehow be amazing that day, time-wise. But regardless, it was the best that you could do on that day at that moment. That kind of, it sunk in as far as taking the pressure off. That once, the race starts, oh, I got to be pacing at this level.
Yeah.
I finish at this time. Oh, I had a terrible race. I'm going to sulk about it. Opposed to, you know what? That's the best I had at that moment.
That's right.
For whatever reason, it could have been 100 degrees that day. Could have not done anything right the day before. Maybe it just mentally had a block that day and went out too fast and paid for it at the end. It's the best you could do on that day.
I think, and to the point, I think that is actually incredibly good advice for people who are stuck in age groups that we would never win, because we are naturally not running a 6-minute pace. We're not running a 7-minute pace. But the interesting thing is for a couple of years ago, just for like a couple months, I kept doing very local, small races. And because I was in a higher age group, I placed almost all of them. But, that's because there was 80 people in the race. So, I think I don't have a lot of pressure when I go do races, like bigger races, because I know I'm just the only person I'm running against that day is me. I'm not going to win anything. It's whatever I do that day. I'm running against myself.
Yeah, I kind of take a look at it. Even if I'm running against myself, maybe 2 months ago, I was in a better spot. I was feeling better. Everything clicked.
Mm-hmm.
Just everything went right that day. And I was able to, let's say, set a PR even.
Mm-hmm.
2 months later, in the same distance, there could have been other factors that just I couldn't control. And that's okay. It's not something to come down on myself for. And if you remove that mental block from it, you're just going to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Inevitably, even your times might even get better if you're just having fun with it, opposed to thinking, man, I was terrible today.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't do anything right. I shouldn't sign up for that next race. I shouldn't go out for that next training run. Huh. You know what? At that moment, that was the best I could do. And I'm okay with that.
And first of all, that's such a healthy attitude to have toward running in general. But, here's the thing. Every time I see you post about any run at all, it almost didn't matter your time and all that. You were in it to have a good time in the race.
Mm-hmm.
Like that always, that through social media, what comes out to me is just pure love of just being able to go run a race. To PR is a wonderful thing, but it's the experience of being able to do what we do that is more important.
Right. There, it even goes back to this was years ago, something Joe Madden from the Cubs said. Never let the pressure outweigh the pleasure.
Yeah. That's really good.
If the pressure is getting too much and it's not becoming fun anymore, either you need to stop doing it or just reevaluate how you're measuring yourself.
That's a really good piece of advice. Like I'm quiet and sitting back and like kind of mulling over that, because that's just like a sound that doesn't just apply to running. That's more of a life advice. I think that's even a better quote than the Weiner 5K.
The Weiner 5K is more fun though.
But that's the whole point.
Exactly.
That's the entire point. Okay, do you have any bad advice?
Go out too fast. I mean, that's really it. I mean, there's I get
Go out
that.
as fast as you possibly can.
Right. You can
Don't hold
definitely
back.
keep that. You can definitely keep that pace for the other 75% of the race. One bad piece of advice, and somehow it didn't bite me in the end, was I had a 10K last year. I think it was the run to the zoo, and a friend of mine had her birthday party the night before. So we all stayed out till 11 o'clock, 11:30. Now, for context, that's about 3 hours past my bedtime.
Do we all know where this is going?
Well, I drank a lot. Lots of Miller Lite. I was strategic with it, though. I wasn't going the IPAs. It was Miller Lite. And actually, this is still not good advice. I actually did pretty well at the race the next day.
See, yeah,
Terrible advice.
That falls under the don't do that. No. All right. Favorite racing distance?
I've had this discussion before with people. I know you've obviously followed me on social media. I'm always posting about my half marathons. That's actually not my favorite distance. My favorite is a 10K.
Wow.
Yeah. And here is why. With 5Ks, I get mentally in my head and feel I need to be sprinting.
Right. 100%.
And then, there's those days after my 01 or even 2, I'm feeling it because I know I went out too fast because I felt that pressure and I need to go fast. I can't, there's no opportunity to make up that time later because it's a short race. Half marathon, right. They are very grueling. I do enjoy them. I have my personal challenges with them or goals with them, but it's a long, long day. Getting up early, beating yourself up for 2+ hours, and then so many more things can go wrong in it to make it a not pleasurable experience, both timing and everything else that goes along with it. 10K is that nice sweet spot between the two where you have that time to get your pace up.
Yeah.
But also you don't necessarily feel that pressure to go out too fast. You can start off a little bit slower and then make up that time later. Kind of get in that groove, settle in that groove for the last 3 or 4 miles. You actually have a legitimate warm up during the race.
Yes.
And then have an honest opinion where you're at halfway through and take it from there. A lot lately, the past couple of years, that is worked out very well for me, where I'm able to start and actually pace myself a little bit, get into a groove, see how I'm feeling, what I need to do, without having to redo it, basically, which is basically a half marathon.
The fun part of recording multiple people right now as I prepare to launch the podcast is that I've talked to a bunch of people and none of these have hit the air yet. So nobody's heard what anybody else has said. And you're the first person to give me that answer. Now, the interesting thing is nobody knows. I don't even know yet, like, which episode I'm going to put on first. And there's no set order. I'm looking at all of them, looking at the timing and, so I could literally maybe put you on like as the first person to be like, you're the first person to tell me that distance. And that's just going to sound ridiculous. But yeah, you're the first one to tell me a 10K.
Okay.
Which I have to tell you that I don't mind the 10K. I think it's a great an 8K or a 10K. I think it's a great distance.
Yeah, it's a nice sweet spot between even the 5Ks. You dedicate a lot of time that morning to something that's really short.
That's true.
Maybe they're on, even though obviously I race for fun and for myself there. Sometimes you get some of the people that are going to walk the whole 5K, and it kind of makes it difficult when you're trying to personally maybe accomplish something. The 10K tends to weed those people out, where
That's true.
they can have the fun race, and that's great. That's part of what running is just having fun with it. But there are those times, as somebody that runs a lot, that you just want to have that little sense of competitiveness,
That's
a
true.
little bit of challenge for yourself. And that's where that 10K, what it really accomplishes for me.
I like that. I think your perspective on that is spot on when it comes to that distance. It's just that middle ground. You know, it's you can literally be training or just do regular running consistently and always be ready for 10K.
Mm-hmm.
And in some ways I kind of like that because there was some times when I would be a very last minute person to sign up for a race, like, oh, I'm just gonna go do this weekend. And those of course tended to be the shorter races, you know, but it could be a 5K, it could be a 10K, because you're always ready to go throw that down. All right. So from there, the next question is famous runner you would like to sit down with.
This one's going to be, I think you're going to get a kick out of this one. I would sit down with I'm going to butcher this, Flidipides.
Oh my
The
God.
first, yes.
I don't know. I know exactly what
The,
you're talking about.
the quote unquote first marathoner. The reason I would want to sit down with him is to tell him he inspired something great by dying. I would ask him what he would feel about that. You know, that race distance, that not even race distance, that distance you ran and then died. People now pay $150 to go do it themselves and hopefully not die.
150. Like, how about the people doing the
Yeah.
majors, man?
I signed up for a half marathon that's like 160, and I haven't not even gotten into it yet.
Oh my God. So my question to you is I know how I know about Flippides or whatever his name is.
Yeah, I can't
How
pronounce
did
it.
you learn about him?
I learned about him years ago. Probably, I think it was at a race. Actually, I think Jeff Galloway
Oh, okay.
was talking about him. I mean, I think it was at the Omaha half marathon, and he was talking about it, and it's like that's insane, absolutely insane. And then I look it back up, and it's like, oh, marathon Greece.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm smart. I put two and two together.
I learned about him. There's a lot of documentaries that are out about Chicago Marathon, about marathons in general, about Boston Marathon, and I love to watch those, and every single one of them covers that poor guy and how he was originally supposed to only run 26 miles, but because they wanted him to run past the castle, or I don't know where he was running past, he had to go that point 0.2 extra miles, or I guess 365 feet. I'm probably wrong about that. And then he dies. So
Yes. I believe he actually shouted Nike as a first product endorsement. Him shouting Nike was actually true, I believe. He didn't even get a medal.
No, he didn't. Well, you know what? He got a headstone. he, got he didn't get a medal. He got marble.
Still better than what they gave me in West Virginia.
That is so funny. Oh my God. That is so funny. All right. Favorite race of all time.
Are we talking one that I've run or?
So as I'm getting answers to this question, sometimes it's one that was just so much fun that that was the pinnacle, or one that was so out of the norm, like
Okay.
one that you can't believe you did and you would never do it again, but it was like an amazing experience.
Okay. Well, I would have to go back to the year that I did the Chicago Marathon. That was my one and only marathon I've ever done.
What year was that?
It was 2011. It was one of those unseasonably warm October days. Yeah, it was. They were handing out sunscreen at the starting line. Yeah, it was pretty gross. I always like to say I'm very proud of myself for doing a full marathon, and it convinced me never to do another one again. Um, it was a great experience. The training for it, really pushing myself. My best friend and his wife came down to cheer me on. My
Mhm.
folks came down, met me at the finish line. It was a great experience. Yeah, absolutely. I love that I did it. But again, never doing it again.
Well, but to me, that what you described is almost the true meaning of the question, because the race itself, the actual running of the race, was probably not one of your favorite moments ever.
No.
But yet, if you take the whole bubble, that was that the whole experience, that was the favorite.
It was great to see my hometown from a different perspective,
Mm-hmm.
getting to see basically all the neighborhoods getting all decked out for it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Boys Town was a lot of fun going through there. Everybody was out for that. My wife used to live over there,
Oh, that's
and yeah, there was one year that we were. It was Marathon Sunday. I wasn't running it, obviously, but she I was watching it on TV, and the elite runners were still in Old Town, which is about, I want to say that's around mile 4 or 5.
I
I want to say
mm,
Boys Town's around
no,
8.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I vaguely remember this, but I'm like, hey, honey, let's go watch. Like to go over there and see the elites. I want to say it took us 20 minutes to get there. The elites had already passed.
I was gonna say, I bet you missed them. You missed them,
Yeah,
didn't you?
yes. I'm like, how in the world did we miss them? You live like 2 blocks away.
It's
How
just
in the world did that happen?
because they're
I don't.
fast.
Yes. Oh, want to hear a funny running joke?
Go ahead.
What do
Absolutely.
Olympic sprinters eat the night before a race?
I'm trying so hard to no, go ahead.
Nothing. They fast.
Oh Lord. I knew it. You know what? See, you asked me and I can't lie. For like half a second I switched into Chris mode and I was like, if I'm Chris, what would I say? And
Speaking of very fast.
that just yeah. All right. So, thank you so much for being on the show. Now, of course, this show is called Start Lines and Swag Bags. So, what would it be if you didn't get your own little Start Lines and swag bag,
I'm excited.
which will contain the I was a guest on the Start Lines and Swag Bags official magnet, the official chapstick. I know. And a little assortment from the new Irreverent running sticker collection. Yeah.
I'm excited about this.
So you will be receiving that in the mail because I haven't sent it yet. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty bad. All right. So thank you so much for being here. Possibly in the future, would you like to come back?
Oh, I'd love to. I'm sure I'll have a lot of other crazy, weird stories I could share.
I think that's fantastic. Thank you so much. I have really enjoyed this conversation.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure on my end, too.